Good evening, everybody, or good morning, or whatever you want to call it. This is my top 5 bass lures for UK sea angling. These, I'll be brutally honest, right? This is a video, so if you're new to it, or you're experienced, or intermediate, or whatever, and also just to relay that these are the lures I use pretty much, which cover all my bass fishing, and there's 5 of them. So this first one here, for me, is a seriously good lure. It's good for casting. It's weighted near the end. It comes with some extremely sharp hooks. It's the Savage Gear Surf Seeker. 30 gram is about perfect. It's good for banging into a headwind. If you buy it in the white pattern, they seem to like that. It's good if the water's a bit murky as well. And also, if you sort of pause your retrieve, the lure sort of flutters back and you can get them to take it on the drop and stuff like that. But just a straight retrieve is all you've got to do. You cast it out, maybe let it sort of sink for a little bit, depends on how deep it is you're fishing, whether low water or high water. And just a straight retrieve, and they come on that. Whether you're fishing with the single hook, which comes with it, which you can attach, or the treble, both will hook up. You'll get more hookups on the treble, but you could argue you get just the same amount of hookups with a big single like that. So just a reminder, keep your hook sharp. But yeah, it's a brilliant lure, and obviously you sort of clip it onto like another swivel at the other end, so it can sort of spin without sort of tangling your trays. And yeah, that is probably, I have most of my fish on that lure, imitating a sand eel, their natural food. So it's pretty good damn lure, and it's good in difficult conditions when you've got some wind banging into your face. So yeah, that is my go-to lure. It's a little bit heavy, and you can use some lighter lures. We'll go on to, this is not in any particular order, but this next lure, the Halco Rooster Popper 105, is a lure I first started to use when I lived in Australia and New Zealand, because it's an Australian make. It doesn't look much. It looks pretty like, if you're new to it, you think, oh my god, that's nowhere near as good as any others. But with this particular lure, it is quite a biggish lure, but it's still only 30 gram. It casts really well. It's got quite a few weights inside it. It's got it rattles. These weights inside, they sort of rattle. There's like 3 or 4 of them in there, and I think that's what makes it very attractive to a lot of bass. The hooks are they're a little bit OTT. They're very, very sharp. You could probably get away. I've actually put some slightly different hooks on mine, some mustard, which are a bit more finer wire. But these hooks are sort of geared up for sort of Australian species. But they're fine for bass, fine. But you take some getting the hook out, because they're really serious barbs on these. But yeah, I got the pilchard colour, which is this one. When you catch a few fish on it, you'll find that they'll scrape it off a little bit, and it just reveals a white underbelly, which is particularly good if you sort of fishing near dusk. And stuff like that. You can pick it up for about 10 quid. I've seen it for about 10 quid, so it's a lot cheaper than some of the top end lures. For some reason, bass seem to love it. And one important feature I should tell you about it is that when you fish it with braid and you're tweaking it back in, the dish on it produces a real massive amount of commotion, a lot of splash, a lot more than other lures on the market. So for 10 quid, you get the real package with this. And I'll be honest with you, if the bass are there, they won't refuse it. It's that attractive to them for something which looks so blatantly, quite bland, really. But yeah, it's got the big eyes on there as well. And yeah, it's the Halco Rooster Popper 105. That is always in my tackle box. That's usually the lure I'll start with, or the second lure I'll go to when I'm bass fishing. And this next lure, which I'm going to talk to you about, is a bit more, it's sort of the finesse side of things. If you see some little bait fish close in or jumping out of the water, and the fish are feeding on slightly smaller silver fish, then this is the lure to go to. It's very subtle. It's got it's still quite good casting. It's not that great in a stiff headwind, but it's more to do when the conditions are very sort of quite calm and maybe a bit clear, like low water, and it just like a very sort of just a sort of a medium to slow retrieve, and yeah, the bass sort of it'll suit the sort of small bits of food, bits of fry, which they're sort of feeding on. So if you've sort of been putting some biggish lures on, like your Savage Gear and the Halka, which I've just then discussed, and you've not really had anything, and then maybe you start to see a few little bait fish, tiny little bait fish, they'll be feeding on that sort of thing. So that's when you want to go to your smaller sort of gear. And I find metals work just as well as anything else. In fact, I prefer to fish with a metal. You get a lot of vibration off the metal when it's tweaking away there. This is quite expensive for what it is. It's actually very expensive, but I would seriously, it's worth the money when you need to sort of tweak down your gear, or you notice that fish aren't coming on your heavier gear, and you just need to sort of tailor it down. So that's a definite. That always comes with me in my tackle box for that particular reason. It's well made. It's got good split rings. The swivel's good with it. The hooks are good. You know, it's you don't really have to do too much with the lure. Just a very sort of gentle retrieve. Don't need to tweak the rod or anything like that. And I've had a few fish on it this year, and it's a definite go-to lure. One I would seriously recommend. You can get some different sizes in it. They do an 18. I think the 18 would be good as well. I think the 15 they do as well. I wouldn't necessarily go much bigger than 20, but it probably wouldn't hurt. But I'd say 20 is about right. I've got a 20. This next lure is a lure I first started to use when I first went travelling to Australia back in 2010. I was getting giant trevally on it in a place called Exmouth. And the lure weighs about 24 gram. They've changed the lure a little bit. They've made the dish on it much bigger. It makes much more commotion. It rattles a little bit, nowhere near as much as the Halka Rooster Popper, but it's a more of a subtle lure than the Rooster Popper. It casts lovely. It's got some good trebles on it. It's a beautiful. It doesn't tire you out so much when you. I know it's a funny thing to say. You think, what are you getting tired for? But you work in a lure for hour after hour after hour. The 24 gram. It's you've got the wind behind you. If you're going into a headwind, I'd say it's still going to be okay. You have to whack it a little bit, but it's more of a finesse sort of popper. And it's lovely to use. It creates a lot of splash on the surface, and there is a rattle there. And I've had quite a lot of fish on it. These sort of lures, these 5 I'm talking to you about. These are the ones. If I can't get the fish on these lures, then I won't be getting a bass that day for whatever reason. If the bass are not there, they're not on that tide or whatever. These lures catch all my bass. So this particular piece of kit I brought from a tackle shop in Singapore. It was called Shim Reels or something like that. Cost me about 12 quid. I don't see them in the UK anywhere, any stockists in the UK. They are a beautiful little lure, well made, last you forever, and they're just a delight to use, and they've got lovely graphics on them. And you just fish them dot braids straight to the end and just tweak them along. They're lovely, like a wounded bait fish. Now this next lure is a French lure, and the Frenchies have done a fantastic job. There's some really beautiful trebles. I'll go to discuss them in a little bit, but it's a lure which it's quite expensive. I would say there is an alternative to this lure, and it's called the Cedra Spitter 125, and that's equally as good, if not better. However, the Pachenkio, I do own it. It is a nice lure. I've had a few bass on it, on that particular pattern. It's sort of when you retrieve it and you tweak your rod tip, the lure sort of wags the dog. It sort of snakes almost on the surface. And I'll be brutally honest with you. I've had some good bass on it, and they seem to like the very thin finesse, subtleness of the Xorus Pachinko. You can get the smaller one as well. That's good if you think they're feeding on something slightly smaller. I've got it in green mackerel like this one. It's quite an expensive lure, but I would say it's worth it. With regards to the trebles, they sort of this middle treble, it sort of folds in neatly. It's not like the other treble where it's all even. It's sort of square, then the other one's 90 off it. Just designed for that middle one. So it's quite an interesting feature. And it's a lure. Like I say, it's a lure I will always try when I'm bass fishing. These 5, and this one in particular, is one I will always either start with or end with, or have it in the middle. And yeah, there's I've had some good bass on it. It can sort, for some reason, it does sort out some bigger fish. Whether it's just the action of the lure on the surf just drives them crazy, I don't know. But it is the most expensive one out of the bunch. But it's a surface lure. Chances of losing it are very slim. But yeah, that's my top 5. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll put them in some sort of order. They're all as good as each other, really, but we will just put them in an order just so you can see which is my favourite. So this is a nice reel here. This is a reel I'd recommend. This is the Shimano Stratic 2500 HG. It's a beautiful reel. I don't own it. I've got the Vanford, but that's still a good reel. Nice and light. So anyway, number 1. Sorry to go off on a tangent there, but number 1 is the Savage Gear Seeker. That's my go-to lure. Hulka Rooster Pop 105. That's my go-to surface lure. Then the Pachenko Abu Toby when I'm looking for a bit more sort of finesse when the fish aren't biting so much, and the same with the Yozuri Pop in 90. I'll go with them slightly smaller sort of bits of kit just when the fish aren't that sort of in the mood. But those are the 5. If those are the only 5, I do bring more than that usually, but if those were the only 5, those are the ones I'd bring. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, and hope you get more bass.